Before getting into the actual what to do's for the cleanse, I'd like to talk about our modern condition. Our modern condition has been coined by numerous teachers of mine, and I've been using this in the cleanse for many years: stressed, starved, and poisoned. Now that sounds pretty negative, but the reality is we're in a very interesting, precarious time in the United States and, in fact, all over the planet when it comes to our condition in this world right now. There's more stress, perhaps, on the planet than there ever has been before in terms of how fast we have to move, how many responsibilities we have, how many things we have to do in a day. Technology in some ways is incredible and is very helpful, but in other ways it adds a tremendous amount of stress. Starved. Yes, there's people still starving on the planet, but how is it that people in some of the wealthiest countries in the world are actually starving? And poisoned. Yes, there's over 100,000 chemicals in the environment. Most of them have never been tested for safety for human beings. And if they are tested, they're never tested together. So one chemical is tested at a time. They don't test 5 different chemicals together and how that impacts the human body. Okay? So stress, a ton of it. Now these all impact each other. When there's a lot of stress, it impacts the nervous system. When the nervous system is in a heightened state of awareness, or when what's called the sympathetic nervous system is on go mode, too much, then what happens is the body's natural ability to detoxify itself diminishes. The body's very intelligent. It prioritizes. It says, I know we have a lot of chemicals, we have a lot of toxins, we have a lot of digestion to do, we have a lot of healing to do, but you know what? There's something urgent in the moment. In other words, if I'm running from a tiger in the jungle, the physiology of the body does not care that I might have a little bit of mercury in my brain. It doesn't care if I have some PCBs or if I have some carcinogens in my bloodstream. All it cares about is sending out enough adrenaline so I can run away from that tiger. Starved. How is it that we're starved? We're starved because the quality of the food, which is based on the quality of the soil, is becoming some of the worst quality that we've ever seen on the planet. Food can look really good, but we've all experienced these days that a piece of fruit or broccoli can look incredibly yummy, but when you taste it, it has very little flavor. That's because the soil that it grew in has very little nutritional content to it. It's all about the soil. There are places in the United States where big areas of farming where there's no worms in the soil and there's no birds that fly over because there's nothing in the soil. We need those worms. We need that bacteria, those microorganisms that feeds the soil healthy bacteria that makes very nourishing fruits and vegetables. Poisoned, like I said, there's chemicals, there's all kinds of toxins all over the planet. There's a synergistic impact. Stress increases starvation because you don't digest as well. Toxicity impacts nutritional uptake. When your body's filled with heavy metals or chemicals, you cannot utilize even the healthiest foods very effectively. So it's a real problem. Another condition is that so many of us, for many years, have been disempowered with blind faith. Now, the fact that you're watching this video or you've taken some of our classes, you're becoming empowered. But it's been a real problem where people just go along with, yes, I'm going to eat GMO foods, yes, I'm going to eat foods that are inorganic and it really doesn't matter. I'm going to eat the commercial animal foods and just kind of going along. I'm going to take these drugs and medicines because my doctor said so, when there's really a lot of other options that we can think about. So blind faith in what society is doing in terms of our health doesn't really work. We really have to take our health into our own hands. Mass production, I mentioned that in terms of the mass production of food. Smaller farms, organic farms, non-genetically modified foods are really the wave of the future. Conditioning and consumerism, we've touched on that. And one of the metaphors that I like to use is that when we do a cleanse, it's kind of like removing the dust from the mirror. When we look at ourselves in a dusty mirror, we may see ourselves, but until we actually take that dust off, we don't realize how much energy it actually takes to see ourselves clearly. Same thing with a muddy windshield. We can drive okay, but when we actually clean that windshield, then we go, our shoulders relax and we feel, oh my gosh, it's so much easier. So when you cleanse, you'll actually feel the burden that you've been walking around with, and you'll feel so much better, and you'll realize, wow, I didn't need to be suffering so much. I could be feeling so much better. Where do toxins come from? Air, chemicals, heavy metals, it's in the water, it's the bacteria, viruses everywhere. It's in the soil, pesticides, herbicides, genetically modified herbicides, chemicals, preservative chemicals. It's everywhere. Toxins also come from electrical devices and wireless devices. There's a lot of data coming out now on the impact that cell phones and wireless communication devices have on the what's called the morphogenic energy field. You could call it the aura or the neurological system of the body. Now, we're pretty resilient as human beings, but when we're constantly impacted by a wireless device or electricity that has an incoherent impact on the energy field of the human body, eventually it can wear us down. Another form of toxicity is undigested foods and poor elimination. Now that's just basic. When we eat even the highest quality food, but if for some reason our digestive system is weak, what happens is that food doesn't get fully digested, and some of that food undigested food can leak into the bloodstream in form of different proteins, and the body can create an immune reaction to those undigested foods and therefore cause immune issues down the road. A lot of immune issues, whether it's aches and pains or joint pains or arthritis, and even things like rheumatoid arthritis, things like that can be rooted in a diet where these undigested food particles get into the bloodstream and cause immune issues, even thyroid issues. Personal care products, definitely. There's really very little regulation on skincare products. So the skincare products actually get into our bloodstream. They are like a food. Whatever you put on your skin gets in the bloodstream. We should be thinking about our skincare products like food. If you can't eat it, or if you wouldn't eat it, then you shouldn't put it on your skin. So a lot of cleaning materials that we use for our homes, they should also be non-toxic, and a lot of them aren't. Our toxic environment. Some interesting studies, there's a ton of studies out there right now, but Mount Sinai School of Medicine and researchers at two major laboratories tested 9 healthy volunteers from different parts of the country for 210 chemicals, and the results were that 167 chemicals were found, an average of 91 were found. The least number found was 77, so the least number of chemicals found in those participants was 77 chemicals. 2 of the subjects were vegetarians and only ate organic food. Chemical toxicity, of the 167 found in test subjects, 76 of those chemicals cause cancer in humans or animals. 94 are toxic to the brain or nervous system. 79 cause birth defects or abnormal development. It's impossible to predict the synergistic effect of these combinations of chemicals, what they will produce 5, 10, 15, or 20 years from now. And this is really sad. Even the polar bears have, these days, osteoporosis. Now, how can a polar bear lose bone mass? Pollutants like PCs, flame retardants, heavy metals, plasticizers, pesticides cause acidic environments. Heavy metals from the fish get into the bones, interrupting proper mineral metabolism. The natural buffers of the body must be mobilized to neutralize the acids. Otherwise, bone mass is at risk. Polar bears also have hypothyroidism as a result of vehicle, industrial, and incinerator pollutants, such as PCBs, flame retardants, heavy metals, plasticizers, Teflon, and pesticides. If animals in a pristine environments are clinically affected by such toxins, what's happening to us? We're exposed to these every single day. Now, water is a big issue. Various medicines, including hormones, antidepressants, hypertension and cholesterol drugs, antibiotics are ending up in our water systems. Our municipal drinking water typically contains 100 or more pharmaceutical drugs and personal care products in significant concentrations.